I'm Tiffany McCafferty, and I am the pastor of the First Presbyterian Church of Paw Paw, Michigan. 2018 has been an exciting year for our church. Our congregation is turning 175 years old. So it has been a time of celebrating, of counting our blessings, and learning the history of the church. I've only been there about 3 years now. So for me, it was really important to go back and hear the stories about the very first family that gathered people together at a time when the town itself was just being formed. And we actually have members today who are descendants of those first founders of the church. So there's a lot of deep rootedness in our congregation. Almost as soon as I came to the Presbytery of Lake Michigan, I became involved with the youth strategy team, which focuses on youth ministry. And this is nothing new. There has been some iteration of a committee or strategy team focused on youth ministry for decades in our presbytery. Currently, it's a strategy team, which means it's a fluid group of people, although everyone who gets together monthly now has been a part of this for several years. And it includes youth ministers and Christian educators. It also includes pastors of churches that have no youth ministers on staff and pastors of churches who do, as well as ruling elder leaders. And the one thing we all hold in common is a deep passion for youth ministry. So we come together and we are committed to being really honest about what's going on in our churches with our youth ministry. We ask the questions, what more could we be doing to support youth ministers, to support congregations who don't have youth ministers? We're listening to the stories of what the challenges are, and we're trying to pull together resources. On a practical level, the youth strategy team is committed to putting on several events every year that have become really important ways for the youth in our presbytery to get together. One of those is Urban Plunge, an annual event hosted at a different church every year where we have close to 200 middle school and high school youth and their leaders come together for worship, to break bread together, to play games, and then to go out and love all over that community with service projects and donations and helping neighbors rake their yards, stuffing the shelves of food pantries. And the kids absolutely, absolutely love to get their hands dirty doing service at Urban Plunge. We also make sure that our presbytery participates in Triennium, our denomination's 3-year event that is just phenomenal. If you've ever wanted to be with 5,000 high school students and experience worship with them, it's an amazing amount of energy, and we're glad to continue that tradition. And we also look at other things. We took a group to Montreat last summer, and we look at opportunities right here in Michigan. There are so many great places to go, to serve, to worship together, and just connect what we think is the most important demographic in our church right now. And I think every church has to look at its heart of why it values youth ministry. If the answer is because we need young people here to make us feel vital and bolstered and to ease our anxieties about becoming an aging congregation, it's not going to work. But we are called to live into those promises our congregation makes when we baptize those babies. And I have baptized a lot of babies since I've been in Paw Paw, and we keep them through the school, through school years. It's not a problem. Kids get into middle school and high school. And I know, because I'm mother of 2 at that age right now, and the scheduling conflicts, the homework, sports, all those things that they are pulled in so many different directions. And so we can't let our youth ministry be driven by what's going to draw them in to make us feel better. It's how are we being called to be drawn out, to go where they are, to understand what they are dealing with as young men and women who have to go to school in buildings where the day before they had a threat of violence. Why is youth ministry any different than what ministry began as in the first place? People with the gospel message, seeing people in the wilderness, in society, oppressed, struggling against violence, trying to find their identity, trying to find a God they can't even define. And it's not our place to come up and define it for them, but to come alongside them and show them the markers on the paths that we've traveled and give them the courage and the support to blaze their own paths. Now, I've always said to my congregation, I am and I am not a youth pastor, and that is, I am the pastor of that church. And that means from the tiniest baby to the octogenarians who have been there. And at the same time, our youth are in a different place. And so I need to go be with them as their pastor, just as I would go be with anybody else. And personally, I am excited and overjoyed when I get opportunities to go do that, if I can figure out what they are.